Hello, everyone. This is the OLM Issue Triage meeting, and the date is September 1st, 2022. And we will be looking at some issues in the Rockpack repository. So here we go for the first one. Helm bundle fails without chart directory with get source. So, Aki, it seems like you created this ticket. Would you like to speak to it?
Yes. So, the Joe suggested two different format for the Helm source. So one with the chart name as a root directory, then the other one without any chart directory. It's a flat. So somehow the second one is not supported in by the provisioner, the Helm provisioner. So I added. So that's the issue. It failed. So I created a PR and discussed a lot with Joe. So I think it's almost close to that fix in a pull request.
Sorry, I just had a whole conversation with myself. Sounds like this bug is basically already got a fix coming in. We're going to mark this as triaged. Oh wait, we don't do that, do we? Yeah, we'll do this. We'll mark it as triage and we'll put this in the. No, we don't do this. What we do is we just put it in the backlog if it's ready.
Yep.
Okay. So the milestones, we're going to edit this. We're going to put it in the. So actually, does it make sense to add it to the next release since you have a fix up for it?
I'm trying to figure out if we want to change the scope of milestones in the current milestone. What does our current milestone look like? Do you know?
Look. Milestone. So our current milestone, we're on number 10. It seems like given that we have a fix, does it make sense to just pull this in and assign it to Aki?
Yeah, I think that would be fine. That shouldn't be a big deal. I think we probably should address that philosophy moving forward in terms of how we even manage these milestones, because we plan them ahead of time. I think it's just like a sprint. If we just want to add, it's fine to adjust codes, add new values into the milestone thing. So yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think what we should have done is probably have added this immediately into the sprint before we started working on it, right? So if you guys find a bug or an issue and you're an active contributor, you can probably move it into the sprint and we can discuss doing that, or the milestone. We can discuss doing that, in the upstream dev channel.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Next, refactor Helm provisioner with these Helm plugin changes. So let's, Aki, again. Do you want to give us a very quick rundown on this?
Yes, I think so. I think I implemented something. The other PR, I think, actually depending on some changes in a Helm, like operator framework, Helm operator plugin change. Joe already made a PR in that repository that is still hanging, but after that is available, I think the Helm provisioner should be refactored to utilize the change in that Helm plugin side. So I already put that to-do comment in a source code, say where this refactor should happens. Yes, so this one is milestone 10. Then when I created PR for this one, then we found some issue. I work around the incapability of Helm plugin. So I hacked it, but
Right.
Joe doesn't like it. So he created the PR in a plugin side. But until that will become available, I cannot use that function.
Got it.
So I
Okay.
created the PR.
Yeah,
So what we, so
just
just
to
this,
update on the Helm operator side, I've got like one more thing to look at before I hit the merge button on that one. So probably tomorrow I'll be able to get that change in. There's a few other PRs that are somewhat related to the Helm provisioner in Ruckpack that I also want to get in, and maybe once the handful of those get in, then we can cut a release on the Helm operator plugin side and then do the work on the Ruckpack side to like this PR, plus I think there's one or two others that I have on the back burner. So anyway,
Okay.
expect this to hit master or main tomorrow, or maybe early next week for the post render stuff.
so just to quickly summarize this, there is issue 514, which this PR was created to fix, and then this brought to Joe's attention a problem with the Helm, so he created a PR to do that. Instead of waiting for that to merge, we're going to track that as a second refactor issue, which is 534. Is that correct?
And that's correct.
Okay, so this one's in the current milestone already, so we're good tracking there. So it sounds like maybe we can just put this one, 534, into the backlog state, and it can be pulled in either to into 0.10 or 0.11, depending on when Joe's changes merge and the time that the 0.10 release is cut, correct?
That's correct. Sounds good.
Okay. Do you mind if I assign this to you, Aki?
Yes, I can do it.
Sweet. Okay. Next one. Add the ghost linter to the lint configuration. Okay, update this to include this. Tim, this is a great issue. It's pretty clear.
Also, Tim's not here anymore.
Okay, cool. So we'll just put this in the backlog, right?
Yeah, that sounds good. It doesn't look like it's blocking anything based on the context of the description. So
Yeah, cool. Next one, ensure all status conditions messages are consistent. Let's go look at that. When creating a bundle deployment that specifies the unique plain provisioner ID, the status condition message that gets populated isn't capitalized like the other SAP capital message. Okay, yeah, this is good. First issue. It's in the backlog. We're good to go. I wonder if there's a way for us to say,
you could sort by labels if that's what you're about to do.
yeah, I want to sort by the absence of a milestone. But that's something I can figure out next time. Okay, well, we'll just open it up.
You can see the little milestone label on the main page there. See which is backlog and B10.0.
Oh, on the main page, sorry.
Yeah, just in each one of those rows, see like where it says like the very first issue has number 540 opened 2 days ago by Aki, and then milestone B0.10.
I see. Okay, that's super helpful. Thank you. So we'll go to the next one that does not have anything. So looks like almost everything is actually assigned. Is there any backlog? Guys, I think we're almost done with triaging issues. Oh, here's one. Check CRD validator safe storage logic. So Tyler, it seems like this one was generated from a to-do. It seems like we have plans we are moving this into a separate thing, correct?
Let's see. This test is currently simulates situation where an incoming. This is super old, first of all. So what this was is when we were doing the CRD validator, Kubernetes was blocking some safe storage logic that we had already implemented within the validator library that was brought over via OLM. And so what I did here was add a test case that should be passing, but was getting caught prior to running by default, like the API server, basically. And so that test was failing. What I did was I turned that test off and then added this comment. I think probably what I would like to just do here instead, since this is so old and there hasn't really been any issues with it, and also I think that we're kind of moving away from, well, we're not necessarily moving away from CRD validator, but moving away from CRD validator being a default. I think we could probably just update this issue to or just comment on this issue saying, hey, instead, let's remove this test as well as this comment, and that can mark this as done. That would be my preference, but that's where I'm at with this.
Okay. Okay. So just to quickly summarize, basically, this test was failing because the API server wasn't running before this thing came up. And it made it so the test didn't work. Now, and what we're basically saying is that because we plan to remove the CRD validator anyways, we can just get rid of this. Does it make more sense just to remove this rather than having a separate something to go in and remove this? Does it make more sense when we remove the CRD validator stuff to simply get rid of this test then? Or are you frightened that this test will not be removed from the code base because we're skipping this test right now?
This is in its own test file, I believe. I think this is in its own suite file. I can't quite recall. I would have to look at the code base real quick.
Okay.
I think this is a non-issue, and I think we just need to clean up the issues. Like the thing that generated this issue was a to-do bot.
Yep.
And so there's a to-do comment, and I would like to either get rid of this test and that to-do comment, or I would just like to move on from this. I think it's a non-issue. So that's where I'm at with it. Yeah.
This test is never worked.
Yeah, this is in its own file inside of our testing suite folder. And so if we were going to remove CRD validator, if and when this would get removed logically get removed. It's not like hidden inside of some code that's related to Rugpack.
Yeah, I think we can kind of just close this then. If what you're saying is we're probably not going to ever.
I would be fine with that too. Yeah, it's either we remove it now and ignore it, or we remove it in its entirety when we remove CRD validator to some other location if we do that.
I'm just going to say that it's never been in the test file can be removed. I'll put it in backlog. Okay. Keep going through this. Okay, it seems like everything is fairly groomed, so that makes me think we can continue to go through each of the backlog items if you would like, or if we all think that these issues do. Basically, what we can do is we can either look through the backlog for issues we no longer need, or we can call the meeting early. Does anyone have a strong feeling one way or another?
I think one thing that'd be nice, while we have the majority of the maintainers here, I think we're missing Dan and Tim, which kind of stinks, to make a decision or talk about this. But do we want to introduce some kind of automatic triaging for a lot of these issues? If we look at OLM, legacy OLM, the repo operator lifecycle manager, then we have a lot of really old PRs open there and old issues. And so what might be nice is we can kind of start investigating, maybe create an open issue to start investigating how we would handle automatic triage, like closing stale issues, marking things as needing to be triaged so that when we have these meetings, we can immediately just triage it by a label, things like that. I wanted to kind of feel the room with like Joe and Aki here. It would be nice to have Tim and Dan, but we could probably talk about that if we decide to even move forward down this. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Aki, Joe, and Alex? And of course, Ankita and Jordan, you're included as well, but I know that you are working on operator registry stuff and FPC stuff as well.
Sorry, Tyler,
Yes.
I missed the question.
Yeah, I can repeat it just real quick. So if we look at legacy OLM, there's a lot of really old issues that are stale by like 2 years almost, and a lot of issues as well as PRs. I was wondering if kind of like how SIGS Kubernetes does, they have an automatic bot that triages old issues and closes them out, things like that. Might also be nice if we were able to have a bot that automatically adds a like needs triage label anytime somebody opens an issue or an issue enters a state where it needs triage. I was wondering if it would make sense for us as a community to start thinking about, at least through like an open issue kind of spike sort of issue, thinking about how we would handle that as a community. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
I'm always of two minds on this topic. On one hand, it's nice to clean up and feel like you have a short backlog. On the other, you risk losing stuff forever, effectively. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I never look at closed issues in the repos I'm ever in. So as soon as the bot says like, oh, this is closed, someone either needs to go and find it and resurrect it, or it's gone. So I know like with the upstream, there's a way to basically say like freeze this and don't let the bot close it. So I think that's probably a reasonable way to do it, which is
would it maybe a better middle ground be we can mark issues as stale so that we can immediately like filter by these? It's not necessarily closing. It just indicates that we have to do some sort of triage and it's super old.
Yeah, so you could do it that way. The other way you could do it is, yeah, and basically what you're saying is like, it's okay to mark it as stale, but we don't want to actually go and auto close it. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is you can go ahead and auto close stuff, but if a maintainer or really anybody that's contributing to the repo thinks it's worth looking at some point in the future forever, then add another label called frozen, and then the bot won't close that one.
Okay, cool. I would love to investigate doing something like that. If there's some interest. Aki, I would also love to hear your opinion, and I'm seeing some opinions in the chat as well. But just kind of as I want to get like a general pulse as a community, how we feel on that. Joe, I appreciate your feedback as well. Just want to get a general sense of.
Yeah, I think it's in general that is good. I think anyway we will have a lot of garbage, right? So, I mean, we will accumulate garbage later. So I think it's good to yeah. At least we categorize that, right? It's frozen or whatever we can label or close it. Even the close it, we can have this is closed by bot, so we can review later or something. So that basically it's a really good idea, I think.
Cool, awesome.
Another option to think about would be like dedicated time during this triage meeting to look at some set of issues that are somehow old, right? And then you could like have humans always in the loop.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of going with the stale label is we can mark these issues as stale. And what we can do is we have GitHub allows you to save queries. That's a kind of little known feature for issues. And so we could save a query that we go over every time that's like needs triage. And so that could be issues that we mark as needing triage or stale issues, things like that. So this meeting becomes a lot clearer in terms of what we need to actually do. I think that would be pretty nice. So yeah, for sure. I think a human should be involved in every single kind of close interaction, but I think we can easily automatically triage a lot of issues as they kind of get older or enter different life cycles.
Yep, that all sounds good for sure.
Okay, cool, awesome. It looks like Alex was taking notes here. Appreciate that, Alex. So If you want, you can assign this to me and I'll start taking a look at it over kind of the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking about this. So basically what we want to do, we want to say like when a new issue comes in, we're basically going to say it would be great to introduce a bug that could apply I'm just going to suggest needs triage label to signify when a new issue has been submitted, right?
Yep.
And then we also want to do has existed for. So we say we want it to be marked as stale. At what point does an issue become stale? What type of time frame are we talking about? Are we talking 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? What are your thoughts?
I would say if it probably changes per issues and PRs. I would say if a PR has been sitting for a month, it's stale. If the issue's been open for maybe like 3 months, it's probably stale. I don't know. That we could probably tweak that over time, however we feel on it. But yeah, I would say like a really old PR is probably a month. A really old issue is probably like 3, based off of what we've closed over time.
You could also just include into the issue the idea of establishing what we think are reasonable beachheads, because we may not have either quorum or information sufficient to make everybody happy with those values right now.
That's a good point.
So let's do
Very good point.
X and Y days. We'll just mark them as X or Y's, and then we'll just say we assume issues can say we assume issues do not reach a stale state as quickly as PRs, but we need to land on that.
I think one thing I would change here is rather than existed, I would change has not been updated. Because there's lots of issues.
Yeah,
that
good point.
go on for a while and you're chatting back and forth about them.
Okay. The Okay, does that basically capture everything that we want to discuss? We're basically saying we need to understand, we want something that basically automatically assigns a label that can drive the issue triage meeting, right? It's about.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me.
It would be used to drive conversation in the issue triage meeting. It would be great. And turns out I can plug it in.
I would also add a note here that we should make sure that we investigate like existing solutions first. I don't want somebody to pick this up if it's not myself and like, oh, okay, cool. I need to write up a bot that does this. I think that this already exists out there. We just need to wire it up to GitHub Actions.
Okay, and then I'll just say that there are many similar bots that might be able to fulfill this need. Sludge. I'm just going to copy. We had talked about this earlier. And we're just going to copy the same thing that you had suggested. Does this work? Hey, sweet.
Yep.
I don't know how configurable these are, but we can look into that.
Yeah. It looks like they take it a step further in their bot. They mark issues as stale over time. And then if an issue has been marked as stale for a certain amount of time, they close it automatically, it looks like.
Mhm.
So I don't think we need to do that here, but that's what that comment was showing.
Yep. Oh, and then it'd be great if the bot I'm just going to add.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I'm going to assign this to you. And then it might make sense to even bring this up with other repositories and make sure the bot would work there too, because I think that could be really useful.
Yeah, I think we can use this as kind of a stepping stone for a lot of other repositories if we get it right.
Created on behalf. There we go.
Cool. Thanks for that up, Alex. That was all I wanted to talk about for the specific meeting. So I'm all good. I think we triage all the rest of the issues.
Yeah, I think we're in a pretty good state, very clearly, like everything's at least put in a backlog. It will be great to have that bot so that we don't have to just iterate over backlog tickets, hoping to find one that's stale. So let's look into that. Cool. Oh, and one last note, everybody. I'm very excited to let everybody know that one of our very engaged community members, that's Tyler, is going to be taking over leading the upstream working group and issue triage meetings. So be sure to, congratulate him on the new role and just let him know that you're happy to see him, I guess. Cool. All right. Tyler, anything you want to say there?
No, excited to do it.
Yeah, no, super excited to have you take over. I think you're going to do a great job. You've got good suggestions like this. Can't wait for you to see what you do with the role. And we'll see you next week at the working group meeting. Talk to you all then.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.